When you focus on your circle of competence, then you're just playing with your strengths, but there's more to success than just competency. And something that can give you an edge even against AI, which most people fear, is creativity. If you want to break outside of the circle or cycle of mediocrity, then you have to think outside the box, which requires you to dig deeper, and you'll be able to find exactly what you're looking for. There's something known as first principles, which is the foundational facts on which knowledge in a certain field gets built. If you're an engineer and wanted to build an energy efficient fridge, your first principle would be understanding the laws of thermodynamics. There are most basic aspects of reality your refrigerator needs. First principles can also be found in less obvious domains, and identifying them can lead to creative solutions. Ways of applying first principles involve Socratic questioning, which are the following. Why do I think this? What exactly do I think? And so that way you're able to clarify your thinking and explore the origins of your ideas. Another question is, how do I know this is true, and what if I thought this the opposite? You have to challenge your assumptions, and this way you'll be able to evaluate more of what your understanding is. Next is to think about, how can I back this up, and what are the sources that you know? So you're looking for evidence, and are the sources reliable, or are they biased? Do they have an agenda? This way you're actually evaluating the reliability of the source. What might others think, and how do I know that I am correct? Which is considering alternative perspectives. What if I am wrong, and what are the consequences if I am wrong? Which examines the consequences and implications. And why did I think that? And was I correct? And what are the conclusions that I can draw from reasoning process? Which questions the original questions that we've just gone over. Then there's also something known as the 5 whys. So you keep questioning until you get to the deep core of the problem. For example, say I wake up in the morning and I have a headache. Then I ask myself, why? Because I didn't get enough sleep. And then why again? Because I slept late at night. Then why? Because I watched Netflix and I ate snacks. And why? Because I think at the time I prioritized the show over my sleep. And another part of that can be why? Because I'm not really satisfied with my way of life. Which, I'm just giving an example. So the reason became I have time and I'm not really that satisfied, and that watching a show gives me more satisfaction, that I'm willing to actually sacrifice my productivity or sleep. And because of my priorities as well. And I question, what exactly is my priorities? A good sleep that will be positive for my longevity and productivity for the next day, or watching a show late at night, which if I do consistently deteriorates my health with costs several years of pain. And if I kept this habit going with the price of just having a temporary hour of joy. So now let's say you're a scientist dealing with a problem of overconsumption of meat. You could approach this problem by trying to mitigate the consequences of it. For instance, you could come up with ways of minimizing the environmental impact of livestock farming. Or you could approach the problem by asking yourself, what are the principles of meat consumption? Why do people have meat and why do they prefer it? That's what scientists started doing since the 1970s, and they realized that for consumers, it's mostly the taste and the smell of meat. These aspects of meat depend upon chemical compositions and reactions and properties between sugars and amino acids when meat is cooked. But the fact that it comes from an animal isn't that essential. So after realizing this, scientists started to create artificial meat which were grown from labs that replicated this meaty taste and smell, and even some being texture. Fast forward to now, there are 30 labs in the world, or probably even more, developing artificial meat. When you approach a problem with first principles, you're essentially trying to prevent it from turning into a problem in the first place, as you're starting with the underlying cause of the problem, rather than trying to address the effects of it. This way you can come up with a creative solution that addresses it at its roots. An action step that I recommend is to identify a problem, any of them, and apply first principles. Get to know the deep root cause, such as breaking it down, and question your assumptions, and use the Socratic questioning or even the 5 whys to break it down. Gather information and research, and then reconstruct it from first principles, such as asking yourself, how could you solve the problem and create the concept, and generate creative solutions which you can test and iterate and document and communicate and apply continuously. So this was part 3 of the mental models and critical thinking series. If you enjoyed this video, then like and subscribe and stay tuned for more.